Hey, Nkuli, how are you?
Good, how are you to me?
I'm good, thank you very much. So I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Nkuli? Where did you grow up? And where did you do your schooling?
Hi everyone. My name is Nonkululeko Sefolo. I was born and bred in Soweto, Johannesburg, raised by a single mom, with the assistance of my aunt and my grandmother. I went to school at Mokome, at a government school. I think in grade nine we stopped paying school fees because I can't remember what quanta we were counted as, but yeah, I stopped paying school fees from grade nine. Um, Immediately after matric, qualified for varsity, and I went to Wits University to study.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your choice of study. So what did you choose to study and what inspired it?
So my first choice was, I think, BCom law. Um, it was my first time finding out about BCom law actually, and because it was something new, and no one had done it, I felt, let me be the first child to do it in the community, and also it had a legal element, which was fantastic. The second choice was commerce general. Commerce was inspired by the fact that I grew up in a small shebeen, so I was always exposed to business. At some point, my mom was a micro lender, so I was exposed to that. My mom used to sell ice cream at some point, so there's always been like a business, background in my life. So that's where the commercial bit came in. And then the last option was accounting. Accounting science was the thing that people wanted to do, similar to engineering. So accounting science was my last option. But law has always been the number one choice for me. I was also part of the debate at school. I was the first speaker, the one who introduces the matter and so forth. So it was quite exciting for me. I've always, you know, been one of those kids that interrogated points, asked questions, always wanted to debate a point. So it wasn't difficult really to pick law. So yeah, ended up doing BCom law. First 3 years, BCom law. So BCom was the biggest part of it. I majored in insurance and risk management. Again, why I went to Wits, the other varsities had BCom finance, BCom economics, and so forth. Insurance and risk management, again, was a new thing, and Wits was the only varsity that offered it. Hence, I went to Wits. And then the last 2 years were the two honors years for the LLB. So I was at Wits for 5 years, and I left there with 2 degrees.
Sure, fantastic. Sounds amazing. So young lady grew up in Soweto. Sounds like in a very eventful family with a lot of business opportunities and things like that. And then you go study law. Is it in itself similar to LLB, or what was the difference between BCom law and a normal LLB qualification?
So, so firstly, the first difference with an LLB, you do it for 4 years rather, and obviously you just get the LLB. And with the BCom, it's 5 years with 2 degrees. Obviously the major difference is the commercial bits, and it's very helpful, especially for when you start working. I went to one of the big five law firms, and they are very commercially based. So the commercial concepts are very helpful for me in the 2 years I was there. So yeah, I think the major difference is the years and the commercial sides. Yeah, that's about it really.
Okay, interesting. And then, if you think law, any kids, I remember when I was young, every time I thought law, I thought, yes, court litigation, things like that. So you're talking a lot about commercial law. What is that?
So I'm a liker of things. And when I say I'm a liker of things, I'm a liker of very interesting and challenging things. And like I said, the reason why I went for the commercial law bit is because I knew no one who did it, and I felt it would give me an edge, especially looking at where I come from. Um, so the So when I started, really, to be honest, when I started investigating or deciding that I wanted to be a lawyer, I think grade 8, 9, and so forth. The one thing I wanted to do was obviously to stand in court and argue and so forth. But when I did my research, I was very, I don't know if I want to say excited, but it was very interesting to see the other side of things. And when I got to Verts, a lot of the law firms that came to advertise themselves, they all spoke to commercial law, corporate law. In fact, they sold the corporate bid more, as opposed to the commercial bid. It's very confusing, but corporate and commercial are quite different. So I I'd say at first I was interested in the corporate bits until I started working just to understand what the difference between the two is, and I went the commercial route.
Awesome. And then so you finished your 5-year qualification, walked out with 2 degrees, and you spoke a little bit about working for one of the big 5 law firms. What did that look like and how long was that?
So if you'll allow me, just to explain how I got there firstly and how it was and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, so I was one of the kids that actually got their articles very late. Most of my colleagues got their articles in this. So I'll speak to the BCom law colleagues. So the 3 years BCom and 2 years LLB. Most of my colleagues got their articles in the 3rd year, so our final year of BCom before we jumped into the LLB. I got my articles in the 5th year, and it was very strange how I got them. I whenever I tell the story, I always tell people that, you know what, this was God given. This God was just like, you know what, child, relax where you are. I'm bringing something very big your way. Because on the day I got the confirmation that I would get the articles done, I had literally gotten a rejection from one of the law firms, I think 2 hours before. So when the email came through that I got the articles, it was amazing. So the bank that I work for now had a program where they take, I think, 4 to 5 learners from VERT and give them a scholarship. And part of the scholarship was that as soon as you finish your final year, you'd go to one of the big 5 law firms to get your articles done. So I applied. In fact, I found out about the scholarship before it was advertised at VETS, because one of our friends slash family friend knew about it, and so he told me about it and took my application through. And then the other students were chosen, and they came through adverts for interviews. They had actually forgotten about my application. Again, like I said, God, oh my gosh. I'd forgotten about my application. I was literally the last student that was interviewed. I think they interviewed over 100 students. I was the last one that was interviewed. I was one of the 5 students that were taken in. So the bank paid for part of my expenses in the final year, because I already had other bursaries. And I think that year I used NSFAS as well because my bursary was not enough. For those who know, VETS is quite expensive. So I had like bits and bobs of sponsors throughout my study tenure. So yeah, gave me the sponsorship, and then went to the law firm for 2 years. That was both fantastic and insane. Oh my gosh. Firstly, it is because it's one of the big 5 law firms, you want to be there. It is amazing. They've been there for 150 plus years. So they know what they're doing. Um, but there are certain things that we are not told when we start corporate, like the working hours. 12 hours was nothing. Like you were not even a hero working 12 hours. Minimum 16 hours in the office. If you were lucky, you worked like crazy. But there are those who didn't get as much opportunity than others. So you'd either do a lot of files, drive to court a lot, and so forth. I think I was one of the lucky candidate attorneys at that law firm, even though I had my fair share of stressful moments. Um, and also more stressful because I was the candidate attorney representative. So I had to deal with my issues and everyone's issues. So that was quite, difficult on its own, but very fulfilling as well because I had the opportunity to literally stand up for my colleagues and, be that buffer between management and the candidate attorneys. So that was a great experience, great but difficult at the same time. So yeah, the 2 years were very intense to me. I'm not sure what more you want me to say, but yeah, that's as far as I can go.
I think you've said enough because I mean people take for granted the amount of work articles require, and how much difficult it is just to acquire that opportunity to complete your article. So I think you've said quite enough. I'm intrigued by something though. I mean, you mentioned something interesting about some candidate attorneys did not have the opportunity that you had. And I'm just curious. So, what do you think made you distinct or stand out for the law firm? Because I'm sure it wasn't just the five of you there. There must have been other candidate attorneys for the law firm.
um so I think one of the big things is I refused to assimilate
Okay.
into the culture. It might have taken me a few months, but the support that I had, firstly, like to me, in corporate, you need as much support as you can get because it is intense getting through corporate by yourself.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of support from my colleagues who later became friends to me. I refused to assimilate. I was that girl with the big earrings and the big hair in the law firm, and people always commented, and I always made sure that I responded back to be like, we are not here to judge people's hair. We are here to work. So I think standing up for myself helped me a lot. Um, but obviously the standing up was not vulgar, if I'm making sense, because I knew why I was there and I knew what I needed from that place, and I knew I'd be there for 2 years. But at the same time, I didn't want to burn bridges. It's it's very tricky because, to be honest, the legal fraternity is small
Yeah.
in South Africa. So, in as much as I was authentic and true to self, I did not step on people's toes and so forth. And if I didn't have work, I spoke out. I remember one of the rotations that I had, actually my first rotation, the then senior associate, he's a partner now. When I was preparing for my next rotation, he said to me, I know I didn't give you a lot of drafting, but please make sure that the next team that you go to gives you drafting. It really hurt me. I was like, dude, you're aware that you were, depriving me of real work. And yet here you are telling me to tell other people, but it's fine, I'll do it. And he also made another comment to be like, in any case, you're very smart, and in the next few years, you'll be my boss.
Oh.
And I was just like, okay. So these are some of the things that we went through, in our articles, and surely in the next rotation, but luckily for me, that rotation had so much work, and the people actually gave you work.
Sure.
So I did a lot of work and a lot of good work. Um, the part of the work I did was the secret ballot case, state capture. So I did a lot of great and fantastic work, and I learned so much. So I spoke out. I asked for work. I was very deliberate in getting work. Yeah.
Sure. That sounds awesome. And I mean, I like the point you were making around how you stood up for yourself, but in a respectful manner. And again, it's not something you learn at varsity, how to deal with corporate, really. And no of us
No.
prepare you enough for that. It's always an interesting experience. So
Yeah.
you finished your articles, and then what happened next?
So completed my articles, and got an offer from the bank that paid for my fees and that makes sure I went to a law firm. So I work for that bank now. So the deal was I will go through, I think, two rotations before I decide where I want to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never did that rotation because I just landed where I felt I belonged, and my team also wouldn't let me go. So I was like, yes. But I'm currently in the retail and business banking division. So so the legal department, obviously. So we've got group legal, and each sector within the business has its own legal team. So I'm in the retail and business banking. We've got CIB. We had insurance, but insurance feeds into us now. We have commercial. We've got litigation as well. So I'm in the retail space currently.
Fantastic. There's a part that I see a lot of sort of young professionals that are in the law fraternity post a lot on social media, which is that day at the High Court. So when in the career journey does that happen?
The admission. So
Yeah.
that happens if you're lucky. That happens 2 years after your articles. So
Oh,
during articles, we write 4 board exam papers. Um, I wrote the I did 3 first time. I passed the 2 and got an oral for the 1, but I didn't do my oral because one of my mentors slash father passed away the weekend where I had to do my oral on Monday. So I wasn't functioning, so I forfeited that. So I had to rewrite that one that I got an oral for, and the other one which I didn't write. So I passed all my board exams, and then did my high court application, um, which yeah no, which can be very problematic because if the court doesn't like what you've written or if you've missed stuff, they'll send it back, and then you must fix it and then bring it back. So I was one of the CAs whose paper was missing something,
oh
and I
my.
had to reapply. Um, but that is literally the pinnacle of one's career. Took
Yeah.
me obviously 7 years to get to that point, 5 years adverts, 2 years of articles. It is the best day of any legal personnel's life. At least for me, it was the best day of my life. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
That's awesome. So give us insights because I mean, often we don't see what happens in the High Court. We know all we see is Facebook posts or Instagram posts that says, "I've been admitted, yay!" And then you're not even standing inside; you're just standing next to the sign that says you're at the High Court. So give us just a glimpse of what happens inside.
So you I'm trying to remember how many of us got sworn on that day. I think about 5 or 6 of us. You get 2 judges,
Yeah.
your advocate, so the other lawyer in South Africa. So I'm an attorney, and then we've got advocates who stand in court. Um, so the advocate obviously says your name, outlines who you are and what you're here to do. and then you stand in front of the judge, and then they, say like a read out an oath that you must, read back, and you swear that you will rather uphold the law. You'll be trustworthy, and you will oblige to all the fiduciary duties of an attorney. And yeah, the judge announces, "Look, Nonku, you're an attorney now." Gives you like butterflies. But it's so quick though, to be honest. I don't want to lie. It goes like this.
Does it feel like your 2 minutes of graduation? Sure. No, that I can imagine. Now I understand why people boldly post it on social media. It's clearly a great achievement.
It is. It is.
Awesome. So now take us a little bit into so a day in the life of Nkuli in the bank. So what kind of work do you do? I mean, we know you're not in the court doing any cases and things like that. So without revealing the details, because I know your work is very confidential. So what does the day in the life of Nkuli looks like in the bank?
Okay. So I'm what we call a product lawyer. So
Okay.
all the products that you subscribe for, you buy at the bank, I'm the lawyer behind the scenes that drafts the agreements and make sure that, by the time it gets to you, it aligns with the TCF, it aligns with the CPA, it aligns with the NCA, it aligns with phase, it aligns with the FSRA, and so forth. So that's my typical job.
Okay.
But in the bank, as a lawyer, your job is more evolved than that. So I attend risk forums. So in the risk forum, there's myself who represents the legal risk for that certain product. There's the business people. There's financial crime people. There's compliance and so forth. Just to make sure that the business unit that you're supporting is in compliance, or it's aligned with the law, is aligned with the business policies and so forth. So I attend risk forums, I attend customer journey forums, I even attend JED sessions with the business people and business analysts and so forth. I we've got a mailbox in our team where we get queries from all the branches across South Africa to query anything legal in respect of the products that we have in the bank. So we rotate as teams, so I get to do that. I Wow, it's quite a lot of things actually.
Right.
I comment on policies, work hand in hand with compliance. It's very very interesting. It's fun work. Everything, literally almost every day, I do something new in the bank. And recently, some fun stuff that we had to solve for. I say it's fun because we've gotten it now, but when it started, it was very difficult. I'm not sure if you'd seen, but as soon as COVID hit us, we all had to deal with force majeure. We've always thought it's a template clause, but wow, it showed us flames across the legal fraternity. That was interesting. um, Add to solution for e-signatures and so forth. So it's been very interesting. It's been very cool. Corona has really forced a lot of businesses to really take digitization very seriously and take it to the next level. So it's been very, very, very cool working on those things. And I think the other fun thing for me in the bank is, like I said, I'm a liker of things. So I've been involved in CSI work. Last year I was the head of CSI for our team. I'm involved in transformation, diversity and inclusivity committees. Last year I ran the race stream and we had the first race panel within group legal. So that was fantastic for me as well. It was a big challenge and it was really good. So although I do legal work, I still get to do the other stuff that are very close to my heart.
Sure, that's superb. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work that you're doing, and it's a lot of diverse work.
It is.
Now we understand why the banks have been declared essential services. So looking at all of that, and I mean, are you currently also furthering your studies, or what other active things are you doing just to keep developing yourself and making sure that you are on top of your game? Because it sounds like everything that you're dealing with has a lot of nuances, and I'd like to think, being in the person who advises people of legal principles and laws, you must be on top of it and understand everything.
Correct. That's very correct to be. One always has to, keep learning, keep advancing, and so forth. Um, Last year I did something called a payment certificate. Had no idea what that is. But because I'm in the bank, I need to know how the national payment system works.
Yeah.
So, I had to do that. So currently I am doing my master's in banking law. I've already gone through the first semester. I did a module called banking law, and the other one is credit law, stuff that I do in the business every single day, which was fantastic. It's funny, the other day, one of my bosses asked me to write an opinion on something, and it's something I did in class. So I was so excited. I was like, bring it on. I can do this. So my master's is coming in handy already. Um, and apart from studying, I mean, to me, the girl must keep doing the most. Hey, it's tough being a black girl in this country. I have a small business that I opened, I think, started November 2019.
Yeah.
I make earrings with my hands, with my mom. I'm actually wearing one of them. Halala. And we're currently diversifying our portfolio. We make scarves now. Yeah, that has been a real challenge. It's fun, but it's also been a challenge. So we started last year, November. It was out of a need, in fact, um, family need.
Yeah.
So my grandmother passed away 2018 September, and she had always been the one helpful, our matriarch, as it were. So when she passed away, things got a little rocky in 2019 for my family. So that's my maternal family. I've
Yeah.
always helped, but the help was not enough. So I said to my mom, if anything, my mom is the creative one. She used to make earrings, and I would either fix them and take them, or I would take them and tell her to make more, or I'd be like, okay, fix it like this, do that, because I'm also quite creative. But she has more time, so she always made earrings. And one day I said to her, Wemfazi, we need money. Can we just do the right thing and put, this thing to work? And and so how we
Commercialize.
started was, what's this?
No, I'm saying commercialize this thing. I mean, you did say you could get.
Bruh, come on. Yes, do the right thing. Don't sit with your talent. How we started is my church was having a fundraising market day, and I enlisted, and my mom and I were chosen to be a part of the people who sell. And yeah, I was like, actually, let me get a name for us. Let me, get a brand for us and do this thing. So it's been very fantastic because yes, it's my baby, but I get a lot of support, obviously, from my mom, because she's also part of the people who create. My husband does our website, our marketing, our online content, and so forth. And I do our social media, our advertising, our designs, and just the vision of where the company should go and what we should do and so forth.
Yeah.
So that has been great and challenging. Um, but it's good for me in that I get to, you know, get away from my everyday work, get away from my studies and all the heavy work that I do. I get very excited when I have to do my earrings. It's really um, one of my happy places.
It sounds fantastic, and I'm glad that you actually jumped into that part. Because often when we become professionals, there's this term, I don't like it at all, called black tax. Um, but I'm hearing you say you found an opportunity to work with your family and say, how do we collectively come with solutions that helps us? Because it helps everyone. It doesn't just help you or you becoming the professional that's always giving money. So it sounds like an awesome idea. So what's the company called?
The company is called Mama na Binti. It it translates to mother and daughter in Kiswahili. It was very intentional because I knew I was going to make the earrings with my mom. I made sure that it encompasses my relationship with my mom.
And I'm sure we'll be following you guys online just to see the kind of stuff that you do. I saw recently you were trying out new designs. My
Correct.
wife talks a lot about it, so I don't wear any earrings. So so well done on that.
Yeah.
I really like the creativity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So over and above that, I mean, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, here's a young lady, grew up in Soweto. There must have been lots and lots of challenges. I know growing up in Soweto has been tough for me as well. But you seem to have broken the mold of I think we used to call it Blomagoka Siko Koning and wait for the sun, and then that's the culture. You broke that mold. You furthered your studies. You're now working in a nice corporate environment. I'm quite curious. What advice would you give those young people in Kokasi that are sitting and wondering how do I bring myself out and do something different with my life?
So it's um I don't know. I always say I'm a weirdo sometimes because where I come from, I I knew no one who was a corporate lawyer. I had no lawyer role model. I I'm the first graduate at home, so I had no point of reference. You know what's the one thing that propelled me, or rather made sure that I get to where I was? My background, my circumstances. I knew I did not want my family to continue to be where they were. And I was conscious of the fact that I was a hard worker and I knew I'd get somewhere. And I, my belief in God and Christ, knew that I would get somewhere as well. So I literally used my background and my poverty, as it were, to force me to wake up and study, to force me to be inquisitive, to force me to be a hard worker, because I had no one else to look up to. So, in an instance where you don't have a role model, it's fantastic if you have one. Look up to that person, and not necessarily do or be what they are, but try and mimic what they're doing. But if you were like me, who did not have a role model, you have yourself to get yourself out of that situation. Um, so young people really need to, motivate themselves. It's not easy. I don't want to lie. I literally had to find ways to, make sure that I get the good marks, get the bursaries, and so forth. Like I said, my grandmother used to sell alcohol, so there was always noise at home. In grade 11, I would go to bed like everyone, but then I'd wake up at like 2 o'clock and study. So between 2 and 4 or 2 and 5, I'd study. And then when my mom wakes up to get ready for work, I'd go to bed and sleep. I went to school early for morning classes. Um, So myself and a group of our friends would go back to school after school. So we'd go home, eat, change, and then take our books and go back to class between 5 and 7. And the boys would make sure the girls get home safely, and then they would go home as well. So I had to find ways to make sure that I get through my work and I get good marks, because I knew my family would not be able to pay for my fees. Um, I was also quite lucky to be chosen as one of the kids that went to a Saturday school called Kutlanong Center for Math, Science, and Accounting. Those people played a huge role in my life. So Friday after school, so between I think 1 and 5, we were there. Saturday, the whole day. Sunday, half Sunday, we were there. And it worked. It worked very well for me because I ended up with a distinction in maths and science. Um, so that was really good. So young people really need to, you know, get yourself out there, do what you need to do to get to where you have to get to. And obviously, do not give up. Trust me, do not give up. It gets tough. It gets tough every time every level that you get to gets tougher. So it's very good not to give up. So yeah, I'd say that to the young person out there.
Awesome. Really powerful words. Very encouraging that we shouldn't give up. And I like what you've shared, that you've gone through a journey of reflection and saw your circumstances and challenged yourself not to stay in that situation, but also challenge yourself to say, I'm going to pick up my family, and with the little I have, help them lift, which you are seeming to be doing now, even with the company, which is awesome. And I really thank you for the information you've shared with us. I think it's useful because often we look at people and we see nice cars, we see on social media with good outfits and nice
Hashtag my
jewelry,
cup overfloweth.
and we assume that's it. This is the life. You just walk into it, and we are all saying, "No, I'm just waiting for my chance to come." But I like the fact that you're saying it's actually hard work. It's things you've deliberately put an effort towards, and God has seemingly helped you throughout the process as well, which is fantastic. So thank you for that. Thank you for your story. Any final thoughts, final words you'd like to share?
No, Dumi. Actually, no. Yes, I do. Um, I just want to say to people, especially with the current pandemic and so forth, that people really need to be kind to themselves and they need to take it easy. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, during this time, I need to do this, that, and that, and that." I know it sounds weird that I'm saying this when I have so many things that I'm doing. But trust me, the lockdown has assisted me in slowing down on the other things that I'd probably be doing if it wasn't for the lockdown. But people need to be kind to themselves. Right now, we are all trying to survive. So, pushing black girl magic, black boy magic at your own expense, at your own health is not going to work. So just love yourselves and be kind to yourself and be kind to everyone else around you.
Sure. Thank you very much for that. Self-care is very important. Love yourself and look after yourself during this time. We need you alive, which is very,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
And thank you, Nkuli, for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. I know it's going to inspire a lot of people. It really inspired me. So thank you very much for sharing openly.
Thanks to me for having me. Really, really appreciate it.
Awesome.